about now. Hi, I'm Ray Dickey from South Carolina and Hudson Valley CI, Association Help Now. We are in many, many, many states, and I appreciate everyone being here. We are doing our manager panel discussion panel. Sorry, I messed that up. And I absolutely love these. They're completely a relaxed atmosphere, unlike those lawyers. We always have a lawyer. Michael's a lawyer, but I just did one yesterday with like 6 lawyers, and it's just like governing documents, blah, blah. The managers have such great stories, Michael. It's true. But the lawyers, of course,
sorry to rain on your parade.
Yeah, but they're extremely important, obviously. So before I go any further, let me hit the poll here. Sorry. If you are here for CEUs, click which one you need. In the meantime, while you're doing that, everyone has a question feature. Please send me questions, send me comments. I absolutely love them. I get lonely if I don't see any. I absolutely do. Feel free to ask whatever you would like because I don't use anyone's names. A bit of a disclaimer though, I could make a mistake. So don't maybe don't send me anything too top secret. And I'm going to go ahead and end that poll. And if I ended it before you needed it, don't worry, use the question feature and say, hey, Ray, I need CEUs. Ask questions, make comments. We're still happy to go in any direction everybody wants us to. With that being said, I'm going to have our panel introduce themselves with who I see first, and that is Anita.
Hi, my name is Anita Jeter, and I am an association manager here in North Carolina.
Thank you so much for being here, Anita. This is the first time I've met you, and I appreciate it very much so. Chuck.
Hi, I'm Chuck Homer. I'm a community manager in Philadelphia Center City.
Chuck, I have met. His runs a high rise. He's, you know, Chuck, you're very impressive because when I visited with you, you were, you introduced me to your board members. You walked around the community. You weren't the kind of manager that was hiding. You were very, very open and not afraid to be out there among the owners. And I think that says a lot about a manager. I do.
Yeah, I really feel like it's a family here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did feel like it was. Obviously, everybody really thought you were terrific, including the board members. Taylor.
I am Taylor Hayes. I'm the Regional Vice President for CAMS for our market in Columbia, South Carolina.
And Taylor I've met many times, and people also love Taylor. Michael I've never met. I have no idea if people like him, don't like him. I just don't have a clue. Michael, I think people like you a lot. That's what I heard.
I appreciate it, Ray. Yeah. So, like Ray said, I'm Michael Pereira. I'm an attorney with Herzl Law out here in Michigan. And as an attorney, not many people say that they like me.
That's not true. I know that people like you because I get compliments about you. Really quick before we get started, you had your costume party at the law firm. Did you enter it?
Yes, I did. And I did not win. I wore a sign on my shirt and it said, I heart ceilings. And I was a ceiling fan. My wife gave me the idea.
Let's just say I didn't vote for that. Okay.
Yeah.
I voted for the Incredible Hulk. It looks like that person put a lot of effort into the costume. Was that a lawyer who was the Incredible Hulk?
No, that was Chris. He is our COO, HR, IT guy.
They're all right. Everybody agrees they're always the most fun, the IT guys. Let's face it. Okay. All right. With that being said, I kind of threw a topic out there, but we could talk about anything that the audience wants to talk about or our panel. So we will get to everything. But I'm going to kind of start off with the topic is how can we make this industry better? But before we make it better, I want to talk about what's worse about it because people love like filling out polls about what's worse about things. So I'm going to launch this poll really quick. Who is hurting the industry the most? Is it social media? Is it nasty owners? Is it unprofessional management, unprofessional boards, or is it something else? And you could just send that. If it's something else, send it to me over using the question feature. Chuck, I'm not going to put you on the spot. I don't do that to the panel. And I'm going to close this. And it looks like, wow, it's pretty much a tie. So I'm pretty surprised about this. But unprofessional management kind of won out by a little bit here. And there's mostly the whole line is just board members and managers. Okay, nasty owners crept up there. So I'm going to leave it there. But Chuck, what do you think about these answers? Were you surprised by them?
No, but I sent you one of the questions. I think the biggest problem is realtors. If you do not prepare an owner for what they are buying into, you're going to have problems. People don't understand deed restrictions. People don't really understand what buying into an HOA or a condo association is. And you see all the media reports about, oh, this nasty HOA said that I couldn't have a tree house. Yeah, because that's not your tree. And if somebody falls out of that tree, it's the association's liability. They don't know that. And the realtors need to be the first line to educate owners what they're buying.
But how are we going to make realtors do that?
Take money out of their commission.
Okay. Taylor, how about you? Were you surprised about the results?
I'm not too terribly surprised. I think, we live in the Amazon society, so everything is quick and fast and want it yesterday. So I think unprofessionalism is kind of the result of rushing through our interactions on everybody's side. And that goes for the homeowners too. So.
It's funny. I never thought of unprofessionalism, and I think you're right, as rushing. I always feel like, and I could see how owners would take that as unprofessionalism when in reality, it could be an overworked manager and it could be at no fault to them. Correct?
I mean, absolutely. I think most of the managers, they don't want to do a bad job, and most board members too want to be good and upstanding board members. So I think it's just the pressure of it all that leads to this.
Anita, what did you think about the poll?
I was a little surprised about it, but after hearing Taylor, that kind of makes sense. I can understand now why somebody would feel that way. So it helps me be a better manager just with that comment. But I kind of feel like, with Chuck, I was saying the same thing. I think education, that's where people get frustrated, and that's where HOAs get a bad name. So I think education is a big part of where we need to put some focus to make it, a better opportunity for owners to enjoy where they live.
Taylor, honestly, I've learned something from you also. I never thought about unprofessionalism. I always felt unprofessionalism as a manager that was just being a jerk, wasn't being very nice, wasn't doing a good job. I never thought about an innocent manager just completely overworked who just didn't have the time to deal with a resident like they should have. So you gave me a whole new aspect of the term unprofessional in this industry. Mm-hmm. So you're up. Taylor's a star. What can I say? Michael, I don't like these segments to turn into full legal segments and things like that, but lawyers, you guys know a lot more than just the law sometimes. You see a lot. Any quick tricks on how boards and managers could inform realtors or force realtors to do a better job informing their clients about what's involved with an HOA or condo?
So in Michigan, at the very least, when somebody's buying into a condo specifically, part of that is the condo association has the opportunity to respond through like a questionnaire that's included in closing. And as part of that, it's always give copies of the master deed and bylaws. So that way they have them, like they should have them anyway, but at least it's, hey, look, these are the rules. Please read them. You no longer have the excuse of, I didn't know I couldn't do that.
I know of tricks that boards use that I've heard over the years for once people become owners. Like one is, if you want a key fob to the pool, you have to come down for a briefing meeting about pool safety. But it's really just an excuse to get the owners in front of the manager so the manager can educate them about all their misconceptions about the board. Any feelings about that, Michael? Have you seen any other techniques you want to share really quickly? But I haven't seen one about before they buy.
No, I haven't seen that. When you first said that, I was like, this is a timeshare. But I think that's a good idea. Like, trick them into listening to the rules. Trick.
Yeah. At least that way they know what's going on. You know, somebody just sent me over a note, and thank you. I should always ask you guys this first, but I put my slides in the wrong order. People want to know a little bit about your community. So I'm going to start off with Taylor. Like, what size, what do you do? Are you a portfolio manager? Just tell us a little about the communities. What is your part of this business?
Yeah, so for me, I manage and I oversee managers, and we have condos, townhomes, primarily single family home communities in my market. And we are as low as 40 homes and as high as 3,300 homes.
Okay.
So we're doing a little bit of everything.
All right. Chuck.
I manage, there's 2 towers here. Each one has its own manager. I've got 231 units, 6 commercial, 225 residential, 27-story building. And the tower that I'm connected to, and I will manage that property if the manager that handles it is out of, on vacation, and there are 305 units.
You're not going to tell about your cool park?
Oh, we've got a really nice garden in the backyard, which is great for Center City because we're in a very urban area, but there's this little oasis in the backyard. We've got a green space, a pool, an area where people can relax next to the pool that's also grass. So we've got a couple of lawns and a beautiful garden, and the residents make a lot of use of it.
It's better than, it's way nicer than he's saying. It's really cool. It's like a totally.
Well, I mean, listen, I doubt it compares to what Taylor has in South Carolina. I'm sure that there are areas with beautiful lawns and amazing plants that we don't even get up here. And it's bigger because it's more open. And here we're in the city, you've got a very small parcel. You try to cram, you've got this little garden that's probably nothing. It's probably dwarfed by what you're probably.
No, you're right. And I'm going to unplug my monitor, by the way. I'm having a technical problem here. You're right. In South Carolina, some of the properties are, it's amazing. It's unbelievable. I actually went to the second biggest pool in the country once at one of the associations. Okay, Anita, how about, what are you managing? What's your part of this industry?
Sure. So I'm a portfolio manager, and I manage communities right now as small as 24 homes to almost 300. A lot of the ones I manage right now are still under development, so they're growing. And I'm working with developers as well as some boards too. The properties are condos or single families or a mix. I have one that has all 3 of condos, duplexes, and single families with pools, without pools. I actually was just on site today looking at a property that I manage, and they have a brand new kayak launch. So there's this wonderful walkway that goes down to the Cape Fear River. I'm in Wilmington, so people can take their kayak down there. And so it's quite a mix, some in the city and some out there where it was just nothing but leaves falling. It was beautiful.
Be honest, but you don't have to be. Are the people of the city a little bit more anxious than the other communities?
I'd have to say no.
You don't have to answer.
Actually, and it just depends. I think this.
Yeah.
In my case, no, but.
Okay. I will tell you that I live in South Jersey, and the closer you get to Manhattan, the more, Chuck would probably back me up on this, the more uptight people get and the more anxious they get.
Yes.
The closer. Right, Chuck?
Yeah, I think it's something about population density and the pace of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, Taylor's just driving around with wide open spaces. It's like Wyoming out there. It's just absolutely beautiful. She's looking at pelicans all day. It's like the best job ever. Let me go through catch up with some of the comments because they've been coming in. I just like to give them a little bit of time. So a lot of people said realtors also. Inactive boards. I don't feel like it's just unprofessional boards, but inactive or lazy boards are causing a problem in our industry. I wonder if that's something that's getting worse. Anita, are people changing, or are boards getting nastier and lazier? Or people in general?
Oh, gosh.
Let me explain clear, not your boards and not yours. We're talking about the industry in general.
In general.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like, we have the opportunity to work with people with their biggest investment, which is their home. And especially in today's times, that can be difficult for some people, and unsettling, and that makes them anxious and concerned, and we have to deal with that. So I think too, I hate to say it, but I think COVID really changed. I think you've got somebody now, they're working from home and they're looking out their window and they can tell me when the landscaper was there or was not there and pruned this or did not prune that. Whereas before, they'd come home and everything would be wonderful and they, were fine. But there's more eyes out there right now, and that makes for more critical, thoughts and comments.
I heard that right away. As soon as COVID started, I started getting phone calls from, and then everybody on the panel everybody listening probably too sees the same thing. All of a sudden, Gladys, who never paid attention, or Bob, who never paid attention to what was going on, all of a sudden he had nothing else to do but stare outside all day while he was working on his computer.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck, what do you think? You're so beloved at your place, which you are, walking around, you're like a star. Do you think has it always been like that, or is it common ebbs and flows?
Well, I think part of the COVID issue is people being at home more, but I think that most people have probably an undiagnosed post-traumatic stress from going through that. And they don't necessarily realize why everything is a fight. I mean, things that are really simple have become arguments, and that's not just here in the condo world. That's, someone took your parking spot and they pull out a gun. I think that a lot of it really has to do with the fact that people don't realize that they experienced such a deep trauma and that they were fearing their family and their friends' safety and whether or not they'd have enough toilet paper. And now they react they overreact to the slightest stimulus. Sorry,
When you're on these panels, you can see who lives in a city or works in a city and who doesn't right away. Taylor.
I guess I'm kind of in the middle. I also think technology is kind of pushing this more too. I mean, we get so many like AI emails or, like they run their questions through AI and send us this huge email that we never used to get before. And I mean, we would still talk about these things, but it's just between the COVID thing and the advancement in technology, it's really just changed the way people even communicate overall.
I will tell you that realtors are taking a real slamming today. I'm sorry if you're a realtor and you're out there, nobody's probably talking about you, but they are really getting hit hard in the comment section. So realtors just outright lie. I have a realtor that constantly tells people, don't worry about the rules. You can do whatever you want to get done. The realtors purposely hold back information about HOAs and that there's rules. People, and a lot of people move into restricted communities and don't even understand that they're in a restricted community. They think they moved and they can immediately start taking trees down. Somebody also came up with the comment that boards are not being consistent from year to year. I think that's probably one of the most frustrating parts of this industry. Anita, it's unique in that way, right? I meant like companies, I guess maybe politics changes, but I guess, look, we are in politics. Anyway, Anita, what do you think about that? I think that's a great comment, right? Board the board.
Yeah, and that's why when people say, hey, do I need to fill out an ARC form for this or for that? And I say, do it. That way, if you get approval for that and something later changes, you've got proof that, hey, this was approved, because boards can change. They can change the rules if they want to. Certain things, obviously, they can't. Anything that, is with their documents, they can't. But, on some things, they can. And you need to make certain that you're as consistent as possible. So, and we as a manager need to make certain your boards are aware of that, so we don't put them in a tough situation where they're going to need to call Michael.
Taylor, did you ever have a great board and you wish they would never leave? Like you could just like snap your fingers and keep that board forever?
Yes, I've had several of them, and it's always bittersweet when they do go. But usually when you have great board members, great board members typically follow because they have everything running like such a machine. Where you tend to have issues where you have boards that turn over maybe annually, so they don't even get to the nuts and bolts of the issue and they're out and someone else is in. That's really the struggle.
Chuck, I hear from a lot of managers and boards, and their hang up is a lot of people run on one issue, right? And they get on for that issue, and then everything else is diverted. Exactly what Taylor just said. So a lot of stuff falls through the cracks year after year after year. Do you think that's accurate or inaccurate?
I think that's accurate. I think that there are a lot of people, especially if they have had a situation like maybe using an architectural example from Anita, they wanted to put a fence in their backyard and they were told no. They're like, well, I'm going to get on the board because I'm going to get a fence. But that's not a fiduciary duty that's in the best interest of the community. That's a person that has a single agenda item that they're using as a motivation to put themselves in a position of power. I like to say that there are three types of board meetings, like three types of board members, sort of like Freud had the id, the ego, and the superego. You've got your heads, your hearts, and your wallets. The heads are the ones that can make those cold, calculated decisions to say, this is what the governing documents say, this is what we have to do, whether we like it or not. The hearts are the ones that are going to break the rules because it's like, I know it says 50 pounds for that dog, but it's 55 pounds and it's so sweet. And then the wallets are the ones that are only motivated by the numbers. And it could be good where they're looking at long-term projections and trying to protect the association, or they could be people that just want to put that Band-Aid on because I'm going to sell my house in a few years and I don't want to spend this huge special assessment. So let me just get it through over the finish line and then I'll get out from under. You know?
I love it. I love it. I never heard anybody come up with that. And I think that's really cool. And I am going to use it. I'm going to give you credit for it also, of course. Unless people don't, well, if people like it, I'll take credit. If people don't like it, I'll send them your way. Whatever. All right, Michael, somebody wanted me to add, they said, ask the attorney if he has had an up more business as time has gone by. I guess what they're referring to is a short question is if people are nastier or people are finding it more difficult to work with each other, has that converted over to more business for attorneys?
I mean, yes and no. I would say that, you know, for our office, like we have been growing, but not necessarily for dispute resolution or, you know, what you would think of as like litigation issues. I see it a lot for like document amendments. Like in Michigan, we have a fair number of communities who at this point are 20, 30, 40, 60 years old, and they're still on original documents. Mm-hmm. And so like, that's what I see a lot of is, hey, we want to change with the times, please help us. And of course, you know, there's always people being nasty and being mean, but I personally haven't seen that uptick noticeably.
Kevin, who you work for, was just on the live stream yesterday, and he said, I asked, why can't we just put Post-it notes on the governing documents? And he looked at me horrified. He was like, no, you can't just put Post-it notes on the governing document. So, you know, something, do you see what's going on in my office? There's something electrical, right, going on in my office today. My monitor's out. And did I just see the TV go out back here? Mm-hmm. There's something electrical going on here today. That's what I'm guessing it is. That is weird. Okay.
Yeah, Halloween was last week.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Like everything's getting all messed up. Okay. A unique expected challenge. I always like to ask people about that. I will start with Chuck. If you can't think of one, you don't have to. I'm starting with you. It's tough. It's out of the blue. You had no warning. What is a unique unexpected challenge you've had?
Every day is a unique unexpected challenge. I mean, it depends on they're all of different scales. We decided to put in an electric vehicle charging station. So we tested it on a vehicle to make sure everything would work before we did a ribbon cutting ceremony and got all of the residents to get together. And 3 days afterwards, an Amazon truck backed into it. So, I mean, 3 days. So then we're dealing with insurance claims and trying to fix things and limping it back up. But it's like it was brand new. Like we just kind of expected that it would last a little longer before we had somebody, you know, ran into it with the car.
Where the heck did you put it? Don't you have on
our driveway?
You put it right on your, but is it your driveway? You're tight on the parking in the driveway, right?
So when you pull up the block and you make a turn into our driveway, there's a center island, and then there's cutouts on the side for parallel parking, and then a circle in the middle, and then that can get you to our garage and stuff. And so we took 2 of the parallel spots and put the EV station there, and for some reason the Amazon guy decided to back up and put it into the charging station.
But when I visited you, you made me feel like such a big deal because you saved me spots, and you said parking is tight. I'm saving you a spot. Now you're letting people charge their cars in the same spot for like 8 hours.
They took 2 spots and they made charging stations because we do not want the charging stations inside the garage.
Right.
Because if somebody's car catches on fire, we got a big problem. So where are you going to put them? On the driveway.
I don't. Okay. All right. Anita, sometimes people don't have one off the top of their head. Do you have a unique, unexpected challenge?
You know, I've been trying to think of something, but really whenever anything comes up, in my mind, I'm just going, that's property management. So I can't think of anything that's different and unique right now because it's all just property management. You know, something different every day. You don't know what you're going to get until you come in and answer the phone or open your email.
That is the most common answer. Like you never know what's going to go wrong at any time. So Taylor, a unique, unexpected challenge, like Chuck was talking about how they just put in this charging station, they had a ribbon cutting, and then it's already been ruined.
Yeah, and I mean, I think to Anita's point, we just kind of do it because that's what's in the job description and get it done. But you know, in South Carolina, a few Christmases ago, we had like sub-freezing temperatures for like 3 days. We had sprinkler lines bursting. That was unique and a little unexpected for us here. And then in a different area, we had a boat launch area and only the homeowners and the association can use it. And we had people coming to the gate and unbolting it. So they were taking it apart and putting it back together when they left. And, you know, that kind of left the association in a challenge because they weren't breaking and entering per se, but they had to kind of amend their gate construction to keep people out.
Chuck, when you hear Taylor talking about like letting people use boat ramps and you know, in many states, there's a lot of flexibility with what people could do. Like I would imagine I would never see it here in New Jersey. Like people can actually, the association will actually encourage them like a kayak ramp or a boat ramp or something. Are you also surprised when you hear about these things, Chuck? Because that's, you know, in a lot of other states, you're just not going to see that because of litigation issues, you know?
Well, I mean, I've been in Philadelphia since 2014, but for the 5 years before that, I was in Maine. And managing properties there, we had kayak launches. There was one of the properties I managed was on an island and you needed to take a ferry to get there. So everything's different. It's really, I mean, I'd be very surprised if they had a kayak launch here because I don't know that people want to really go into the Schuylkill River. But, you know, every location is going to have certain differences in terms of how they set up and their risks of liability and just the lifestyle that the people have, you know, in terms of taking outdoor activities in the city is probably not such a big deal, but when you're in a more rural area, you want to take advantage of being able to walk through green spaces and go for a hike or fish or kayak.
Yeah, I don't think you're ever going to see that in Philadelphia. You're not going to be able to put a dock in. It's just not going to work out. You know, there's going to be 1,000 problems with it. So, Michael, have you ever has a board ever called you with a unique, unexpected challenge?
Yeah, I mean, everything's unique, Ray. Everyone has their own unique circumstances. I was actually just looking at like my open matters, my open files to see if anything jumped up that I could, you know, we could kind of laugh about, like that's kind of silly. Everything right now is kind of run of the mill.
I think you guys are holding back, okay? So like I don't think I've told this story. I'll give you an expected challenge. I had a manager call me managers call me all the time because they just want somebody to talk to that's not part of their company. You know what it's like, right? And this manager had to follow up on a report that this couple was doing something in the hot tub at night that they should not be doing. So the manager obviously thought this was going to be a possibly embarrassing situation. So lo and behold, the manager goes down there and they're expecting but in reality, what was going on is the wife was shaving the husband's back hair in the hot tub. And this was a regular ritual. All right. To me, that's a unique, unexpected challenge. The scenario is unique, even for this industry. It's unexpected. And the challenge is, how do you even broach this? Do you have to have a rule that you can't shave body hair in the hot tub? Michael, is that unique, unexpected, and a challenge for you?
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Okay.
And it just goes to show you that every rule has a backstory.
Okay. I always like to ask for I'm just going to keep going to Chuck because Chuck's so nice to me. He can just let me keep putting him first every time I'm putting him on the spot. I don't want to get on Taylor's wrong side. There's no way. I'm done for. She's so powerful in the industry. I don't even want to risk it. So, no, I'm kidding. Chuck, what do you think is an example of something that residents, boards, or managers find very confusing in this industry? Is there one item that jumps out at you? What are people confused about? What don't they understand?
I think it really still goes, I think even a lot of board members don't fully understand their governing documents, don't understand the respective condominium acts in the different states. They don't really understand the limits of their authorities. And they don't, I think strategically, like there's like game theory, if you're aware of it, you know. I always try to tell the board, well, if you do this, what do you expect that the other person is going to do in response? And whenever I talk to them, I said, think about if you're thinking that this could lead to litigation, every action you take, do it as if the judge is right there watching you. Would you be ashamed if the judge knew you did this? And if you would be, then don't do it. And to use an example, we had a person who was going into bankruptcy. They owed us a lot of money. And the board says, well, the governing documents say that we can cut them off of the area's enjoyment. They can't go to the pool. They can't go to the gym. I said, sure. And if we go to court for bankruptcy court, because we're trying to separate them from the unit to protect the money, I said, and if we tell them we didn't cut them off of the gym and we didn't cut them off the pool, even though we could, because we understood this person had an inability to pay, and this is not personal or vindictive, this is just a business transaction, and unfortunately we need to sort of stop the bleeding for the association, and we're asking the judge to consider separating the person from their unit. It's a much better argument than we did all these things and they still wouldn't pay us when we knew she had no money.
Unfortunately, that's a big part of what we have, you know, everyone has to deal with, and everybody probably feels bad about it. I'm sure Michael feels bad too when he's got to like throw the little old lady out on Christmas Eve, right? Michael, do you purposely send the letter out just before Christmas Eve and then like it's all freezing? No, I'm joking. But Michael, you're a nice guy. You're known as a nice guy, and you are. It's hard, right? You have to do what you have to do, right?
Yeah. Nobody wants to be the bad guy, and you know that's part of where attorneys come in. But you know, part of representing condos and HOAs is we're messing with the two things that people do not want messed with: their home and their money. And so it is hard, but living in these community associations, you have agreed to abide by a certain set of rules, and everybody else is. And so why should you be treated differently?
I don't think there's enough thought about what it's like to be a manager in this industry. I don't, because if you're talking about having to enforce the rules on someone who legitimately doesn't have the money, right? We're not talking about somebody that's out spending it all night, you know, at the nightclubs. It must be hard, right, Anita, as a manager to have to be put in that position. And sometimes I don't think there's enough backup for like managers' well-being, right? Like an outlet, because you're enforcing a lot of rules that it's really tough. And managers love these people, right? But you have to do it.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't like those situations either. And, you know, you've heard the saying, no good deed goes unpunished. So as much as you want to try to help people, which is really what my heart is too, is sometimes you have to realize what you think is help is not really the help that they need. And you might not be able to provide what it is that they need, or this situation may get them to where they get whatever it is that they need. But I mean, we're only limited to what we can do, and you have to make certain, again, consistency is key, because you know, you just want to make certain you're doing the right thing overall. It's a tough spot. It's a tough spot.
People were horrified by the hot tub story. Well, I'm sorry, this is the industry that we're all involved in, but that's just like the way it goes. Before I go to Taylor, I don't understand why these people buy into the community. They don't understand any of the rules. Avoid double blinds. Chuck, you're sending me messages. Okay, I don't know what that means. Avoid double blinds. What is that? Double blind. But also, don't send me anything that's what?
What Anita was just talking about. You have a situation where you really feel bad for the plight of a resident. But if you do something where you put it into, make them think that you can help them out of that situation, you put yourself in a situation where there is no outcome that's a positive outcome for you. You put yourself into a double bind.
I got nervous because I thought you were sending me something that maybe was inappropriate, and I just read it,
No.
and I didn't know what it meant, and it was some weird thing. Yeah, don't send me any, like, we're not just like texting you and I, you know what I mean? Like, let's remember that, right? And I read it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder if Chuck was like making like a joke or something.
No.
All right.
A double
Woo!
bind
That was-
is a basically
All right.
like psychological torture because you put
No,
yourself in a situation you cannot extricate yourself from.
I get it. Michael and I were not too sure. I could tell Michael was also on the fence on that also. Okay. Taylor.
And the razor is a psychological razor, not anything that had any violence attached to it.
Yeah, I didn't even bother commenting on that. I didn't understand. I don't understand what you're sending me today. It's fine. Keep sending them, but
Okay.
it's very complex.
Okay.
Someone is saying, I feel like this job role and industry, you almost can't be nice. And you have to keep things straightforward and by the docs and the laws, etc. I feel like in this job and role in industry, you almost can't be nice. I hate to say it, but I guess, right? It's tough.
It really is a challenge. And I think where we try to be the champions is kind of delivering the bad news with kindness, with a level of empathy or sympathy, so to say. I mean, we can all deliver bad news in a more positive way. I mean, taking our time, hearing how people react, I mean, it probably helps in that delivery. But there are times where it is really challenging to keep things super nice and
Well, you're human beings. And if it's like the 7th person that aggravated you before it's lunchtime, it's probably going to be really hard to say, let me tell this person in a nice way that, they can't make a mess out of the hallway, right? Or keep their scooter in the hallway.
yeah. I mean, I think for that, we try to use templates a lot with the same language. So it's more repetitive messaging. That way you don't really have to think about what the message you're trying to relay. And then, if all else fails, I mean, we kind of practice the pause, like take a time out, think about what you're going to say and how you're going to deliver that message.
Michael, I like it. Taylor was just saying, like, maybe you get in a routine and you say the same thing, because it's a lot easier to be nicer to people if you're because you're taking out the whole thinking, not taking the thinking part out of it. What am I trying to say, Taylor? I think what you're trying to say is, like, if it's a routine, you could put more effort into being nice. Sometimes you can't put 100% effort into everything. I know I'm not doing a good job. Michael, can you communicate what you think I'm trying to communicate?
Who knows what you're thinking, right?
I know.
But I think what Taylor and Anita are trying to say is, like, look, these documents are there, and when managers are enforcing the documents, the owners feel that they're being targeted or that they're being treated unfairly or that someone's being mean. But, like, that's not the case. I mean, most of the time, at least the intent is, look, there are these rules, you need to follow them. And you can say that nicely and say it in not a mean way. Or if this is the millionth time you've told the same person the same message, then yeah, sometimes it is a little grating on your nerves, but it's not, enforcing the rules is not being mean.
Okay. Taylor, someone is saying that they understand what you were trying to say and what I was. But did you want to recommunicate what I tried to say for you? Because I don't like doing that. You seem to understand what I was trying to say, right?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, I think it's like you take the emotion out of your response. And I mean, if you're going to always respond to somebody's response to their compliance letter the same way, I mean, if you have the first paragraph is always going to be the same, like, thanks so much for taking the time to respond to me. I mean, it just helps keep things flowing and the tone to stay consistent across everybody you communicate with.
Consistently nice, right?
Absolutely.
That's the key. I love it. See, Michael, Taylor understood me. Lawyers think of everything just, you know what I mean? Do you agree sometimes, Michael? Lawyers look at things differently. You have to, right?
What did you say, Ray? I didn't understand what you're saying.
Okay. All right. Let's see. An important tool or protocol that you love as a manager. What's your most important tool or protocol? Michael, help me out here. This is a hard one for the managers because Anita's like, no one told me I was going to be asked these questions on the fly. Somebody told me that Taylor was saying this is like the easiest thing ever. Anita's like, what the heck is going on? How am I supposed to come up with these things? You really don't have to come up with it. A lot of people don't, so don't worry about it. Michael, while they're thinking about it, and you could just tell me it's a stupid question. I'm okay with that too. Michael, while the managers are thinking it over, can you think of anything that would be an important tool or protocol for managers or boards? I can think of one already.
Yeah, so I think one important tool or protocol is have your attorney on speed dial, or have the association's attorney on speed dial. Like, if you don't know the question, ask for help. And a good tool is the attorney. But beyond that, like, look for what's known in the law as secondary sources, like explanations of the law, of the condo law in your state. Kevin Herzl with our office, he's written a couple different books. Herzl's Handbook for Michigan. This is the 3rd edition. Like, even me, if I have a question, or if I don't know something, or if I'm trying to explain something in very simple terms, like, I look at his book. And so finding that similar type of tool can just be really helpful.
I thought that I never saw you do that before. Promote Kevin's book like that. It was so smooth. Did he put you up to that? Does he make you do that? I mean, he is a great author. Kevin Herzl is amazing. He's been on like Fox News. Maybe I'm wrong, but he's been on national news. He is an amazing person. But did he make you do that? Be honest.
He did not make me do that, and he definitely didn't say it's available on Amazon or through our website. Use code Michael Pereira for 15% off. That's a joke, but.
And the next 15 minutes, buy one, get one free. Next 15
before
minutes.
this commercial ends. But having that type of book, and as managers, also making boards aware of that book as well, or tool or resource, something like that.
Yeah, his books are actually very, very good. He is an extremely knowledgeable attorney. I'm going to start. I like putting Chuck on the spot. I don't know why, because I could run down to Philadelphia and make it up to him and take him out to lunch or something. Anita, this is like a game show. Do you feel like this question is hard enough where we hand it to Chuck? Because then he's got to come up with it first, but then maybe he takes away an answer you and Taylor may have. So Anita, what would you like to do? Pass this off to Chuck, or take it?
I would like to pass it off to Chuck.
All right, Taylor, would you like to pass it off to Chuck or take it?
I mean, I enjoy listening to Chuck's answer, so
Okay.
you can go right
Chuck,
for it.
It's been a pass. Okay, it's win or lose. What's an important tool or protocol?
Here is a tool that I use all the time. The recorder of deeds for the County of Philadelphia and for the tax assessor's office. One of the biggest problems we have here is that we are a rental restricted property. The declaration caps the number of people that can rent their units at 25%. And there are all these people that try to rent their units and sneak it in. And it's very difficult to prove. So what I found is by going to the property records website and determining whether they have a license through L&I, licenses and inspection for the city. I know if they have permission from the city to rent, and I can tell them that if they're renting their unit, then they wouldn't mind if I let the city know that they're doing it without paying their taxes. And similarly, there have been people that were renting that I knew, I had like all the I's dotted and T's crossed. I knew they were renting their unit and that they weren't living in the state, and they just refused to acknowledge they were. And I said, well, you're taking the homestead exemption, which I'm not sure if every state has the same thing, but if that is the home that you live in, that's your primary residence, you get a tax break. And I said, so if you don't live here, I can't prove it, but the city of Philadelphia has the resources to investigate it if you're committing tax fraud. And they always fess up.
Man, Chuck's good. Like, you don't want to be against him on a game show. I mean, he was like all over that. He's super, you could tell like he likes that. He uses that a lot. You love it, don't you?
And I love when people underestimate me. If all of my residents think that I'm an idiot, it makes my job so much easier.
Nobody thinks that you're an idiot, though.
No, I
There's-
mean that they don't try to hide it as hard
No,
because they don't
yeah.
think I'm smart enough to figure it out. And there's been a lot of things that I have been able to figure out in one case where there was a person that had gone to great lengths
Okay, all
to
right.
conceal it.
Okay. By the way, Otis, I wanted Chuck to show his office. Don't do it, Chuck. I don't want to make you do it. I can't describe it. I cannot describe what his office is like. How he does a great job as a manager. They love him. How would you describe your office, Chuck?
If you look up, there's a picture of Albert Einstein's desk after he passed away, and that's what my desk looks like.
I would agree. Your office looks like a mad scientist. They know what they're doing, but it looks like a mad scientist. Okay, back to an important tool or protocol. Anita, I have one. Do you want me to help you out, or do you have one?
Go ahead, Ray. Tell me what yours
Okay.
is. Yeah.
I didn't really come up with it. Taylor did. Protocols. Having set protocols in place. Do you agree? Seems like a pretty good tool.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now I took that away from Taylor. Taylor, do you have an important tool or protocol?
I think one of the tools I kind of keep in my toolbox is, we go to the CAI events or you go to networking events. I probably have a huge Rolodex stack of business cards in my desk. And when I hit a time where I don't know what to do anymore, I just take those business cards out and flip through them. And I think it changes the way I think about things and my problem. And I don't know, that pause to flip through that cards really helps me sometimes to kind of dig myself out of an issue.
Have you also heard that the South Carolina chapter CI is the best chapter and run by the most qualified executive director in the country?
I mean, I have heard that. I have.
Yeah, he's like a genius. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The next one, I'm going to go. This one's a hard one too. All these are hard for people. You know what? I'm going to give you two in a row, and I'm going to go to Michael. I'm going to ask you one win that you're proud of. A win could be a project that you were proud of. Like maybe Chuck is going to say he was proud of the electrical charging station that he worked on and had put in. Okay. It's a shame it was ruined by an Amazon truck, but he may be proud about that, or maybe he helped someone. The other one is something you wish board members would ask, new board members would ask. All right, Michael, starting with you, so our managers could kind of like have time. And once again, you don't have to have an answer. These are audience. I didn't give the managers any clue this was coming. Michael, what do you think would be, let's start with, what do you think our managers may say if they wish something board members would ask?
I mean, it has to be a lot, but I think this comes up mostly with boards who do not have property managers, but there just seems to be almost a reluctance to read the documents. And these boards operate as the previous board did, who operates like the previous one, and they just do things the way that things have always been done, which when I hear that means you're not doing things right. It might be maintenance responsibilities, it might be elections, it might be voting, something is wrong. And they're not doing it on purpose. And so I think that boards with property managers should ask, what are we doing wrong? Like, please tell me how to run this association properly. And with property managers, again, like that seems to be far less of an issue. So I'm probably preaching to the choir here.
No, well, I meant a little bit, right? Because typically the people that watch these videos or these live streams are people that are interested in doing a good job, right? And the people that come on them are also interested in helping other people. So we are always preaching to the choir, right? But I always feel new board members, I feel sorry for a lot of them, right? Because some of them are never been politicians. They've never been involved in this situation. And maybe the president says, oh, we've always done it this way. And I hate it when it's insurance, Michael, right? Because maybe the board, do we have a good DNO? What happens if I get sued? And the president says, don't worry about it. We're covered. Oh my gosh. If I was a new board member, would I take the president's word for it? Never in a million years. But right, Michael, the new board members, they don't want to rock the boat. It's like human nature. Do you agree? So I feel bad for them.
Yeah, and everybody gets, well, most people get on the board with good intentions. Either they want to make some change in the community, hopefully not out of a personal desire to, but for the most part, board members have the best intentions. And so, just like you said, right, they don't want to rock the boat, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if it is broke, then they have a tendency to try to pussyfoot around it and not just make the change.
Okay. So Taylor, would you like to take this, because this is fun now with Chuck on here. Would you like to take something you wish board members asked, or would you like to pass it over to would you like to pass it to someone else? And don't you dare pick Anita, because I need
No. I mean, I think thinking through this, and I don't want to be like repetitive from Michael, but I mean, sometimes I think as the managers, we sit through the meetings, we hear the board's deliberation, and, you know, they make their decision and they don't ask like, well, what do you think our biggest problem is? Or what do you think a solution is? And I think most managers are willing or will just give it, but I think it would just be nice if that sometimes there's more collaboration in solving the problems or determining what the biggest needs are in the community. Because I'll tell you, when homeowners call us and when they call board members, I mean, sometimes those conversations are very different.
I was going to mention to Michael, Anita, and maybe you could run with a little bit. I also think it's unfair to put managers on the spot all of a sudden where they have to force themselves upon a board member, because that's not your job also. Do you think I'm wrong about what I'm saying, or do you think I'm just saying it wrong?
So with boards, and I'm glad I got this one. So it really kind of has to go back a little bit. There has to be education with this. I know kind of what Chuck had said earlier, board members typically will come on board because you've got, I had a board member one time, he wanted to be on the board because he didn't like the way people were leaving their trash can outside. And that was his reason for getting on the board. 3 months later, he abruptly quit because he realized he didn't like what was going on and he wasn't in the game really to truly do what needed to be done. And one tool that I was taught years ago that I tell new boards that come in that, you know, maybe, you know, they think, well, this is a nice little community thing. We'll have a little picnic. We'll do that. You know, they need to be educated on what it is that they've signed up for and the responsibility that they have. And one way that I do that is I say, take the value of the average home, multiply it by the number of units. And that gives you an idea of the corporation size that you are now planning to have to be responsible for, and hope that everything is managed correctly and property values increase. And so with that tool, it really puts a dollar amount on it, and you can see them take a deep breath, because that's the beginning of that education in trying to help them manage appropriately.
I love it, because you know what happens when you communicate during these live streams, you guys say little tidbits that I know I can run with down the road, right? Mm-hmm. And I've been doing this a long time, and little tricks like, it's not even a trick, but your communication tip, I think some managers, you'll be surprised, they will take that and they will use it. And multiplying the property and putting it in that way, I think is an absolutely fantastic idea. Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad Chuck didn't come up with it, because I think it's going to be a winner. I do. So let's see how Chuck can top that. I don't even know. I don't even think it's possible. Chuck? No, we're not. So, I'm joking.
I like being the butt of jokes. I have a very self-effacing deprecating sense of humor. It's great. Strategic planning. I think too often board members are looking what's in front of them right now without thinking of the long-term ramifications of their decisions. And I really wish that they would take a longer view. A lot of times, like when I first started here, we had an issue with a roof, and the roof had been damaged when facade repairs were being done. And it was going to cost basically $50,000 to put a patch on it. And I couldn't guarantee that that patch was going to last a long time. Replacing the entire roof was going to be closer to $500,000. I got engineers to give us a ballpark about it, and I said, I really think you should just replace the roof. They spent $50,000. It lasted a winter, and the next year we had to replace the roof. That was $50,000. That was a Band-Aid that was just thrown in the garbage. To just say, what are the outcomes here? If this thing can last for 2 or 3 years, is that really beneficial, spending $50,000 when you know you're going to have to spend that $500 anyway? Or to just talk about if you have a system with 2 domestic water drives like we do, and then the water pump, the pump brings the water in, the drives maintain pressure in a high rise.
Right.
If you're going to replace one drive, the other drive is probably going to fail soon. It's probably a better economy of scale to replace both at the same time rather than buying them piecemeal and having them delivered 2 separate times, and trying to think of those kinds of things to say, well, we don't have to do this now, but if we do, is it a better decision in the long run?
So some planning. One thing I wanted to hit, and somebody had sent me stuff, 2 things, and I thought it was great, so I wanted to mention it. And I swear I forgot. It was you, Chuck, who sent me these 2 things, and I thought they were like really good advice. So I'm just gonna like read them really quick, just so we have them out there. Usually training after an election, but doing it when people run for office ensures their role and basics about the property and governing documents ahead of time. Helps normalize people who are running because they have an issue that they want to resolve, which happens more often than it should. We're running out of time, Chuck, but did I get that part right? I thought it was great advice.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of people that don't really understand what they're getting into. They think when they get on the board that somehow they're one person out of 5 or 7, but when they get on the board, everybody's just going to fall in lockstep with them and it's going to push this agenda through. And no. And the first thing that I try to do is to ask a question. Okay. And I ask this of every person that wants to run for the board. How many employees does the association have? We don't have any employees. Every single person, whether it's the manager, I work for First Service, or if it's our security people that work for OPS or our janitor, they're all contract employees. And when they guess that it's 30 people, I'm like, not a single one. Now they start opening their mind to listening because it was something they thought was so obvious that really wasn't.
I thought they were great. Once I hit them with that, they seemed to be much more open to learning more. Okay, so let's kind of wrap up with some closing thoughts. You don't have to have closing thoughts. You could just talk about anything. Maybe there's something we didn't bring up. I thought we had some really great commentary today about how we could make the industry better, really how managers could help their associations make the industry better. Michael, I'm going to start with you for closing thoughts. There was anything in particular that came up today that you never kind of thought about before? I know you probably thought about just about everything. You've been doing this a long time, but I like to ask.
Yeah, I think I try to tell associations that you are running a business. This isn't just the good old boys and girls club. Like, this is a corporation, and it should be treated as such. And I think Anita's analogy of multiplying property values, like, I'm going to use that. And I would also like to echo what Taylor said. So I guess my closing thoughts are just highlighting what other people said. But develop template documents. Like, I use them all the time. Fill in the blank. 1, I think it's efficient. 2, takes the emotion out of it and just has a consistent approach to whatever is going on. If you have a template, delinquent assessment letter, template demand letter, template response for architectural issues, it just takes some of the thinking and emotions out of it.
All right, we got about a minute and a half left. Taylor, I thought I picked up on a bunch of stuff that you said today, but go ahead, closing thoughts. You could just rehash or.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything we do is, or everything we've talked about is leaning to make the industry better. And I think be confident in what you know and what you don't know. To Michael's point before, reach out to the professionals who know what they're doing in that arena.
Have you asked your husband if I could drive the fire truck? Yes or no? Be honest with me right now on the live stream. You haven't asked them. Okay, I know you haven't. All right, there's not enough time, but I'm expecting
next time,
that
Ray.
Taylor's husband is like a hero. He's like a superhero. He saves babies out of buildings. All right, Chuck.
I think following up on Taylor, I think being honest in your communication and acting in good faith is the most important thing. If you don't know the answer, say you're going to find out the answer, but don't lie, because eventually it'll come out and you're going to lose that trust that's essential to that faith that you need to instill in the people that you're looking out for their messages.
Anita, I'm with Michael. Your commentary about the timing the homes, I could even see that as a visual aspect to that. I thought it was absolutely fantastic, but any closing thoughts?
Well, I can't take credit for that. One of my former managers, Kenny Durbin, had given me that, so I'm going to give him credit for that. but it meant a lot to me. So I'm glad everybody's finding value in that. I think what we all need to remember is that when people say HOAs, it's like, oh, I hate them. When the research shows it's really about 80+% people like being in an HOA. So we just have to remember that.
By the way, really quick audience, Chuck is a wildlife photographer, well known. I mean, he's like real quality photographs. So it's focusonwildlife.me and Facebook.com/focus. I'm going to send the link to everybody so you have it. I definitely would want to turn you on to Chuck's wildlife page. I do. I love it, Chuck. True or false? I send you questions all the time, right?
If you like birds, I got a lot.
He knows a lot about birds, believe me. It's unbelievable the photography that he does. I want to thank everybody for being here. Anita, thank you for being so brave and just coming on and having like no idea what's going on. Chuck, you're brave all the time, and you know me. Taylor, you know me. Michael, I always appreciate you taking time out of your day to be here. And audience, I appreciate you guys also. Thanks, everybody, and I hope to see you guys next time. I think it's going to be a couple weeks, but bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.